Well, I guess this is going to be 2 videos because I effed up and cut the thing off. I'm going to have to find a better way to mount this camera. I've got it taped to my sunglasses, and the weight of it keeps pulling it off my face on the right side. So here's the experimentation. Well, he's flying. Today is the first day I'm going to attempt to fast. See if I can't bring my body into ketosis and start burning some fat while maintaining muscle, and also to purify my insides. I do have diabetes and my A1C is really high. I am currently not under doctor's care, so we'll see how this goes. I plan to fast for 10 days, but this being the first time I'm gonna try it, who knows? Might make it 10 minutes. But I gotta do something to try to stay alive. Isn't that right? I don't know if she likes these walks or dislike them. Gotta be better than sitting in the house. Well, since I'm walking and basically talking to myself, I was thinking recently about why I don't think black people in America will ever get reparations. Now, we got a good case for reparations. I mean, we're owed reparations. I probably said reparations about 10 times already. But the reason why I think we'll never get it as black people in America is because we've taken advantage of little concessions that this society has given to us. Things like we being able to say the word nigger when it's definitely a word that does not have a good connotation to it. There's no good meaning to it. It simply means ignorant person. So every time you call somebody nigger or my nigger, you're saying dumbass or my dumbass, really. That's number one. So white people are not allowed to say it to the point where they get physically attacked or fired from jobs. That's one thing. Things like affirmative action, that's a big one. So that's where someone gets a job or gets placement based solely on race instead of ability. So this means the best person doesn't get the job, all according to affirmative action. And lastly, black degeneracy, you know, where we're allowed to do things that keep us in a perpetual state of weakness, but we see it as a win, like government assistance. I'm not saying no one should ever take government assistance, but I'm saying we should always use that to our better. See, that's what we don't do. If we get Section 8, we just stay in Section 8. Matter of fact, we don't get a better job. We don't go out and get an education. We simply have more kids and stay in Section 8. Problem with that is, when the government program ends, what do you do? So we setting ourselves up. We don't have a culture. We just have degeneracy. So all of these things black people have taken, these little small handouts. Now, another one is feminism. See, feminism was for white women, almost exclusively. Because who was holding black women down? Because it sure wasn't black men. So what that did, feminism, it caused women to be in a state of rebellion. What I mean by rebellion is, if I tell a woman, let's have this relationship, but I'm the man and I'm going to lead this relationship. And what you're going to do is what you're good at, which is support and make everything around you better. But what happens is, under feminism, a woman says, I don't need you. Matter of fact, I can do what you do. So we can't have families like that. Black people have the only matriarchal system in the Western world, which means everything is ran and controlled by a woman. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if we're talking about ladies and women. We're not talking about ladies and women. We're mostly talking about little girls and bitches and thoughts. Thanks to this culture that we have. So how does all this tie back into reparations? Well, we should have denied everything that was offered to us. Affirmative action, black people should have said, no, we don't want it. We don't participate in it. Government assistance, we should only use government assistance as a bare necessity to better ourselves, which means you shouldn't be on it for a long period of time. It's not designed for that anyway. And women have to submit. And I understand a lot of women will hear this and say, well, how am I going to submit to a man that ain't shit? Well, not all men are nothing ass niggas, number one. But the nothing ass niggas are the people that you choose to procreate with instead of looking at what a man's true value is and what he can provide and what he does in life. Meaning, if I'm tatted up, if I'm dreaded up, if I smoke weed, if all I give a damn about is a party, if I sell drugs, most girls are gonna go with that. That's black, at least. And a lot of white ones too. Because it's a cultural thing. You gotta understand, these guys are playing a role. They're not really like that. Everything that a man does is for a woman. That doesn't excuse men, because I think we're the root cause of all of it. If we were to stand up straight and morally, that's probably not a word, straight and morally, but if we were to act like we had some sense, basically, and not do anything we can just to have some sex, which creates children that you're not ready to have, and you ain't gonna stay and take care of. You're not being sexually responsible. So all of this lends to the destruction of the family. And without a family unit, you can't rise above your situation. You need support. So people who try and fail need support. Some of your family may need to stay with you, but when you stay with people, you need to make sure you're doing everything you can to get a job and get out on your own. You don't look at that as I'm gonna lay up on whoever, so-and-so. So that's what I mean by we're taking all of these little things, I call them short straws. They got the long straw, we got the short straw. And we walk around and hold this short straw like, look, we got a short straw. Well, yeah, you do, but you ain't got no reparations. Then there's the fact that if we ever did get reparations, we'd blow it. We don't know how to actually create and sustain wealth. Because for the most part, we're not educated. And the people that are educated are not educated in things that are going to serve us. So when you look at black professionals, where are my engineers at? Where are my scientists at? I mean, where are my businessmen at? You know, we got more rich people that are entertainers and athletes than professional people. Now, if you look at, for an example, Jewish people, they got reparations from Germany, and they truly suffered under Nazi occupation. But there's nothing that they went through that's even comparable to what a lot of black people went through. And I'm not even talking about the ones that they tortured and killed, maimed, broke up their families, raped, and that's men and women. If you don't believe that, look up the term buck busting, buck breaking, I mean, and see what that is. So there's a lot of ways we could look at we were done worse. Now, we didn't get anything for that. We had to fight just for basic human rights. And that's pretty much how they got us. We should have always demanded what was ours. And I guess what we should have done as a people is we should have left. When they didn't give us the land that they promised us, we should have left. Because if you read the Emancipation Proclamation, it's written in a way that states, if you stay, you become subject to the government and the whims of that government. If you leave, I'm offering you freedom. So that's one big problem. There's one reason why police can shoot us and just get away with it. Because really, we're not considered U.S. citizens. And by law, they know they have these little bylaws and maritime law and all of that that actually does exclude us from being citizens, true citizens. So when an obvious policeman murders you, he has standing and is a servant of citizens, and you're not one. So that's why we need to do everything we can to stay out of them predicaments. You know, we could have not taken any handouts and then took the United States to court, to the world court. And if you don't think that the world, whom the United States has been messing in their affairs for I don't know how long, would have taken the opportunity to hold America accountable for what it did, then I think you don't know the world. So it's just a couple of things. My dog sees this duck and she is tripping. Come on, baby. You ain't getting no duck. Get over here. Get over here. Get over here. You ain't getting no duck. Leave it. Leave it. I don't know what's wrong with that stupid duck, but she is on it. Leave it. I told you, piss 15 times. Come on, ain't getting no duck. Crazy dog. But anyway, where was I? Amusing myself while walking around this track. Anyway, I think we're owed reparations. And I think a lot of great men have put on a great case. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Malcolm X went to the World Court trying to get reparations for black people. We had a better chance at getting it then than we do now, because all these little concessions that they've made, white people look at that like that's your reparations. That's why they tolerate some of the foolish behavior. So, once again, I think it all really comes down to black people play checkers. White people play chess. That's really what it comes down to. We don't have a capacity to say no to any momentary pleasure, any momentary fun. We all about now. What we can get now, what we can do now. Another thing too, black people, y'all need to stop smoking weed, man. I mean, for real. Marijuana is making y'all stupid. How many oops babies do we have now because y'all getting high? And here's another thing. How do you know what's in that stuff? You don't know what is in that. We barely know what's in the food we eat. And you can see people right now sick, and they supposedly eating normal food. This genetically modified stuff looks and tastes like regular food, but it doesn't have the nutrition. That's why we always feel hungry. And that's why most Americans are fat. But the marijuana, yeah, it's gonna be legal, and it serves two purposes. One, monetary. It's a short-term stopgap for the inevitable crash that's coming across the world financially. Because you can't have a debt-based system where your government is borrowing money to put into the system. So that means for every government note you have out there, you owe the value of that note plus interest back to the Federal Reserve, which is not federal at all. So they're gonna put their fingers in a dike. You know, put your fingers in a dike, man, as my man Tony Montana said. So they're gonna put their fingers in a dike and legalize this crap. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna regulate the hell out of it to where, guess what? You and I, still gonna be illegal for us to grow a plant and sell it. Only them, just like cigarettes. You can't make no cigarettes, you ain't gonna be able to make no weed. If you think you will be able to, keep living. That's number one. Number two is to dumb you down. I heard a lot of people talking about, well, weed doesn't have any adverse effects. Well, here's one. It makes you dumber slowly. It makes you dumb while you own it, and it makes it harder to think the longer you do it. And I don't say that as a person that's never partaken of weed. I used to smoke weed. I used to smoke a whole hell of a lot of it. And I used to be a whole lot smarter. I remember from the 1st through 8th grade, which is the 8th grade is when I started smoking weed, but from the 1st to the 8th grade, I used to do math in my head. I never needed a pencil, paper, anything. I just intuitively understood the relationship between numbers. Now, that's the worst subject I have is math. And it's all because I smoked all that weed. And when I say smoke weed, I mean wake up smoking it, smoking all day, go to sleep smoking it, wake up and do the same thing again. So a lot of times we was just smoking and wasn't even really getting no higher. Just sitting there dumb. So if you have a population that's medicated and their mind is dulled, then you can get things over on them, because all this government wants to do is control every aspect of your life. That's what they want. And they're going to use marijuana as one of the tools to do that. They already used money to get everybody in debt, to where now your labor that you're supposed to trade for compensation, you're trading it for nothing. Money, paper money, government notes is not worth nothing. If you don't have gold and silver, and I don't, by the way, so I'm one of you. If you don't have gold and silver, you're totally at the mercy of whatever these economists do. So black people, I'm saying especially, because we have the highest mountain to climb. We're the furthest behind. So I don't understand why we choose to do things that put us even further behind. And I guess what I'm saying is, it's almost too late now for black people. If you look around, there ain't enough with their head on right. There ain't nobody challenging anything that degenerate people do. There's a lack of shame among black people. I mean, you see some of these black girls doing things that I'm over 40. So, yeah, we tried to be degenerates when we was young, but the world was not as forgiving as it is now about dumb shit. So they getting away with all kind of shit. I couldn't have put a tattoo on my body unless I was in the military making my own money. And I did join the military at 17, but I do not have any tattoos, and I won't get them. Primarily because the government already got my DNA. They already got my name, where I live. But I'm gonna mark myself to make it absolutely easy for them to identify me anywhere I go. I mean, it just don't make no sense. Dark-skinned people, why are you getting tattoos? We can't see them. I was looking at a basketball game, and that guy, Kuzma, got a bunch of tattoos. And he was standing next to LeBron James. And LeBron James got a bunch of tattoos. I couldn't see nor make out what the fuck LeBron James' tattoos said. But I could clearly see what the fuck Kuzma's tattoo said. So if the object of getting a tattoo is you trying to make a statement to the world, if your skin is too dark to read it unless you write up on it, what's the purpose? See, everybody loves to do what everybody else is doing. And it done got to a crazy level with black people. To the point where they say shit like, well, you talk white, you don't talk black. You know, what the fuck is that? You talk white. I live in a Western society. My first language is English. You know how many motherfuckers right now younger than me can't speak English? And we've been here over 400 years. Some of it is willful, I know. We try to be cool. We want to have the next word, clout chasing. Niggas love to repeat the same shit when they hear some new shit. Or like when we text and write emails, we fucking up the spelling of shit so bad because we think it's cool. So some of that is willful. But then there are grammatical mistakes that people make, and here's a big one that I see all the time. T-H-E-I-R, T-H-E-Y''-E-R. One of them is possessive. Their, meaning something belongs to them. One of them means they are. Most niggas don't know the difference between the two. As a matter of fact, they think the exact opposite. So, if you say the statement, well, I don't know if it's the exact opposite. They just use T-H-E-I-R for everything. Whether it means they are or whether it denotes possession. So a lot of you ain't paying attention in school because you think it's lame. But on the back end, you're trying to be or claim that you're so educated. You can't have both. You can't serve God and mammon. You can't do it. You're going to have to pick one. And I think black people picked the wrong side. We really did. And now we got dumbed down idiots on marijuana that are incapable of doing the things that they need to do. Totally incapable. They think wrong is right and right is wrong. Now, I'm not a big Bible thumper, but I do have a worldview that pretty much aligns with the Bible as far as I believe that there's a spiritual world, and I believe that it was first. And I believe it was from the spiritual world that God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, the problem we get into a lot of times, I think people try to assign human characteristics to God in saying, well, why does he do this and why does he do that? That comes from a spirit of rebellion. And you can see that theme over and over, starting with Satan rebelling, who was the first to rebel and introduce what we call sin into the world. And this is my worldview. Like I said, I'm not a very, very, very super religious person, but I do understand what I think righteous principles are, and I try to live by them as close as I can. But you see it like, teenagers rebelling against the status quo, starting with rock and roll, matter of fact, starting with jazz or ragtime or, just wanting to be rebellious. And it gets incrementally worse until you have what you have now with the hip hop, to where you have a guy that is getting ready to go up on RICO charges. I guess the money and the fame wasn't good enough for him. He had to actually be a criminal. I guess he's too young to remember Tupac and Biggie dying, trying to live the things that they were writing down, when neither one of those guys was anything like the image that they portrayed. It's like the young man that just pushed and kicked the young lady, the running back Hunt, for the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, potentially threw his career away because he don't know how to act in public. And then you think about it, dude, I got all this money. I'm famous. I play a game for a living, something I love to do anyway. Guy was probably going to be playing football whether he was broke or not, you know, somewhere. So he goes and throws all that away when he just should have walked away. What could that person possibly have said to him that could have mattered? Why was he even dealing with that person? So it's like, that's our culture. We have to rebel. We have to be concerned with this worldly world and stuff and how people see us so much that people throw away a good life. I don't understand it, but it seems to be something that has afflicted most of us. And notice I keep saying us. Yeah, me too. I lived as a dumbass for my first 26 years on earth. And basically, for the first 26 years of life, I thought I knew everything. No one could tell me anything. I knew it. I ignored a lot of good advice. So I know when I try to give advice, especially to kids, my own, I've got 2 daughters. One's 28, one's 25. Not a grandfather yet. So I don't know if that's got anything with me trying to be in their life or not. My youngest, the 25-year-old, I only started being a part of her life when she was 16 years old. So I was the king of deadbeat dads too. So for all you women talking about ain't shit dudes and deadbeat dads, I was one of them. But one day I was looking around on Facebook and I just happened to type her name in there, and I saw a young lady that looked just like my ex-wife. And also, I may be a scoundrel and I may be a deadbeat dad or an ain't shit dude, but both of my daughters were born in wedlock. I married both of their mothers because at the very least what I could do is give them my name. You ladies out here, you're doing more than just having kids. You're making bastards. So you putting your child at a disadvantage out the gate. And for those that don't understand when I say that, I mean bastard. That's what they are. If a man and woman is not married and the woman has a child, that child is a bastard. And that's what I don't understand about this world. You hate to hear that, but it don't stop you from doing it. Absolutely crazy. So when you make a child a bastard, you make it harder for that child in this world. And then, if you're gonna do that, why do it again with a totally different dude? I don't understand that. How can you? I don't understand that at all. See, we condone too much shit because there's no shame. Matter of fact, they'll try to shame you for pointing out the shameful shit that they do. Everything comes with responsibility. So fucking ain't no different. It comes with responsibility, and you have to think about what you're doing. Now, if you prepare to be a father, then you go raw and you skeet up in that woman. If you prepare to deal with the consequences of AIDS, then you go raw and you skeet up in that woman. So I don't understand how people do things and then try to get out of responsibility. Now, I know that's ironic to some of y'all because you said, well, you just said you was a deadbeat dad. I was a stupid motherfucker. I'm not casting stones at people from a glass house. You know, I live in the same house you live in. And I invite the same stones to be cast at me because I am not perfect and I don't claim to be perfect, but what I am saying is it comes a time when you're supposed to mature as a person. That's another thing that's lacking in these days and times. People going through the maturation process. You know, you got guys that's my age, over 40, still playing video games and shit like that. And I play video games, but not much. I got too much other shit to do. I like them, I got them. Every now and then I sit down 15, 20 minutes, but it's not daily. And I used to love them. So, you know, you mature out of that. You'll find you spend less time doing it. The same way with marijuana. I just matured out of it. I got tired of being tired. I got tired of being broke. I got tired of being dirty. You know, too lazy. That's another thing that it makes you lazy. And you think it's expanding your mind. That feeling that you feel, that mild euphoria, that's your brain cells burning. That's what that is, and you only got so many brain cells. Just because you don't burn them all out in a few years don't mean you're not doing damage to yourself with that stuff. Like I said, we need to start saying no so that we can get ourselves on the right track. Because the way it is now, you can't even take most brothers and give them a helping hand because they're going to look at that as an opportunity to fuck off. You know, I got family that wants to come stay with me. You know, look, I live in a nice little neighborhood. It's all right. I ain't rich. You know, I'm doing all right. I got family that's not doing so well. But they also don't have an understanding about what they have to do to better themselves. They looking at it as an opportunity. Well, I can go over there and chill with you. You make enough money. If I find a job, I find one. If I don't, hey, we still cool. And that's not the way I got where I am right now. My sister let me crash on her couch with her husband and her son. She told me I had to kick in. She got me a job. I stayed at that job. I got fired from that job. I got another job. And I worked that job. Then I went back to school, got some education. That was the best thing I ever did in my life. And once I got the education, I got another job. And I worked that job for years in Dallas, Texas, until I had a better opportunity to come along and I moved here. So all I'm saying is when you put down immature things and you really try to make an effort to better yourself, and I don't party, I don't go out, I still have a girlfriend, we go through our crap, mostly because I don't live as the normal person live. I don't drink, I don't smoke weed. I used to do all three of those things. That's three demons. Let me tell you something. Quitting cigarettes was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. With marijuana, I bought an ounce and a little bitty pipe from a convenience store, little metal pipe. And I smoked that whole ounce by myself. I didn't give it to nobody. When it was gone, it was just gone. I never bought any more of that shit. And I never asked nobody to let me hit it wherever I was at. That was it. But cigarettes, whew, let me tell you something, that's a demon, man. You literally have to have one of those damn things. More than you have to have food. And to make it so bad, when you smoke them, halfway through the cigarette, you kind of feel bad. It's not even making you feel better. So it's something in it that's making you want it, but you can already tell when you use it, it ain't doing you no good. But you can't stop. I mean, who are they right mind? What are cigarettes nowadays? $7 a pack, $8 a pack. I remember you can get a carton of cigarettes for that. I remember when $8, because my pops used to smoke. $8 just get you a carton. Now, it's a pack and people pay it. That shit is I never tried crack and I never tried cocaine. But I can tell you, cigarettes was the most addictive thing I ever tried. Look at this crazy dog. Now she see them dogs over there, look at her. Now them dogs paying attention to her? No. But is she paying attention to them dogs? Yes. Heel. Heel. Leave it. Get over there. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Tried to sneak one in, didn't you? Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Get over here. Get over here. Get over here. Get out the street. Leave it. Leave it. High strong. It's your own fault. You the one pulling. Leave it. You gotta learn how to live in the world with other people and other things. You need to stop doing that. Heel. Heel. Well, that's what I go through. That's why I bring her out here. She's got to get used to people and things. She's real house strong. Kept in the house a lot. I can't help that. I got to work. Hate to leave her. But she's got to get used to people and things. Those other dogs wasn't making no commotion, but not this one. Leave it. Yeah, she'll learn. She's a good doggy. She's just crazy. Leave it. Actually, leave it. She did a lot better than she normally does. Normally she goes all out. But the dog trainer told me if I have to, stand her up on her hind paws with this choke collar till she learn how to act. Hate doing that. But she gotta learn. She's obviously a big dog. She's a Saint Bernard. Very lean for a Saint Bernard. I think she was the runt of the litter too. So she ain't gonna be big. This is it. So I get the best of both worlds. I get a Saint Bernard, but I don't get a behemoth. She's normal size. Ain't that right? You'll learn, won't you? Yep. Well, I got one more lap I'm gonna do. I need to get out here and walk. I feel better every day I do it. Figured I'd try my camera out, action cam. See if my lapel mic actually works. I don't know how well it's going to work. And even if it's working, because when I took it out of the pack, damn head fell off of it, so it might not be getting any audio. So I'm gonna take Miss High Strong around one more time, and we going to the high. So anyway, I know I'm complaining a lot, but I just want every black person to at least have the opportunity, and that's all you can ask for. It's just the opportunity to be happy and have nice things, nice stuff. But in order to do that, you got to let go of some of the deviant behavior and deviant thought process. Stop playing checkers and start playing chess. Look for the long game. Deny yourself some pleasure now so that you can have more pleasure and be stable later on in life. That's the only thing. Heal. Shut up. Calm down. Get out the street. Yeah, I know you want to yell. You almost snap that neck when you do. I know. Get out the street. Get out of the street. See how they don't care about you? You shouldn't care about them. She stepped in that and hurt her foot. So I noticed she's smart enough to go around that each time. Look at her, so anxious. Get out of the street. Smart though. It's just crazy. Leave it. Get out of the street. Crazy the day is long. But anyway, like I said, just want black people to get out of the poverty mind state, you know, settling for trying to be these wannabe thugs and thoughts and Instagram models over getting you an education, becoming a productive member of society. You really have to just realign your perception of the world and everything in it. That's basically what it is. Those things that you perceive that you need, that you think you want, you have to let that go. You got to really understand that a lot of this mindset has been foisted on you and built up by people who don't like you for generations. And we got to break that. I think the last subject that I'm going to talk about on this last little leg of this walk is the subject of white supremacy. See, it's my contention that white supremacy does not exist. And I contend that because no man is supreme over the other. Every man pretty much, even though you may not start out the same way, and even though there are differences, no one is supreme, just different. It's sort of like equality. Men and women are not equal, but men are not better, just different. We just serve a different role. And that's all it is. And feminism has brainwashed our women, at least, into thinking that a male's role means dominance. Same way black people think that being white makes them dominant. See, the real power structure here on earth, and as I said, I may not be a Bible thumper, but this is my worldview. I think it's satanic. Whether we believe in Satan or not, the people who are in charge, the people who have all the money, the people who have all the power, the people who have all the influence are satanic. Now, whether at the root of it, hell, Satan is a real being or not, that's where they believe, hell, that they obtain everything that they have. That's where they believe they get it from. And it may be just a group of people who give the okay when you do satanic things. Hell, it may be a group of people, or it may indeed be a fallen angel named Lucifer that's at the root of all this. Now, that's what they say. So you got to see how they don't want you to believe in Christianity, but that seems to be their number one enemy. So I choose to be the enemy of all Satanists, Luciferians. And I know you hear that word a lot, Satanists and Luciferians, but it all breaks down to this. You're going to serve one or the other while you're here on earth. That's basically what it is. When you think you're serving yourself, you're serving Satan. When you serve others, you serve God. So, getting back to the point on white supremacy, white people are not supreme. Now, if white people are really just more ruthless, because in a sense, they kind of had to be by virtue of where they became a people at. Their conditions were harsher. They had to think a whole lot deeper in order to survive, and it just made them more ruthless. So when they come in contact with other nations and nationalities of people, they come at it from a ruthless standpoint. Even if they present that nice front to you, they're always thinking, how can I exploit you? Because that's how their whole race been made up. They had to exploit a limited environment. That's why they're always moving from their environment to another environment. Okay, so having said that, they came over here and hoodwinked them a country. Killed Native Americans, enslaved and killed black people, brought them over here, disenfranchised us, stripped our language. I don't know what religion we used to be. Forced Christianity on us. And this is a big reason why a lot of people are not Christians to this day. But once again, that's one of the devil's tricks. Doesn't matter how you obtain the truth. It matters that you obtain the truth. But anyway, they came over here and they got them a country. Now, do you think that people are going to establish a country and not do it to benefit their own people? Even black people wouldn't do that. So when black people get control of something, let's say a black gang gets control of a certain street corner or a neighborhood, are they making that neighborhood all inclusive and fair for everybody that comes there? No. What do? They exploit anybody they can, and to defend their territory, they get ruthless. This is white people. So they're not supreme or even supremacists, because I don't think the average white person spends a whole hell of a lot of time thinking about black people. I think a lot of black people spend a whole lot of time thinking about white people, because it's easier not to acknowledge that your own bad decisions got you where you at, such as what a lot of things I've been talking about before, like having all the kids out of wedlock, not even learning to speak the English language correctly, trying to modify the English language when, if you do, it's only going to be a junk language that's spoken by junk people. Nobody that's really building anything is out speaking like a damn idiot. Nobody forgoes their education to have kids at 13 and 14 throwing baby showers at 13 years old, and then parents condoning that type of crap. And then the same type of chicks getting online defending this shit. Cause see, that's what it is. When you, that's our problem. When you behave like that, it's not a white man's fault that you was irresponsible with the fucking. place fucking and unprotected fucking above all else. Above your security, above your well-being, above any thought for the child. White man ain't had nothing to do with that. So all these people talking about white supremacy, what I need is for somebody to show me an example, a real tangible example of white supremacy. I work at a nationwide company, not international, global company. And I see how white people try to still use that preference for white people to their advantage. So I see a lot of white people that are not qualified to be in the jobs that they're in. I see a lot of white people who vouch for these non-qualified people, even to the point to where you think you're in an alternate reality when you're talking to him. It's like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I've observed him. He does not know what he's doing. He talks like he knows what he's doing, but he don't know what he's doing. And then what my boss will do is sit there and make every excuse as if trying to convince me that I don't see what I see. Now, it may be a little privilege going on, but those guys are not supreme. That's the difference. It's like racism. I work at the same place he work at. I make the same money as the guy who is my boss because it's just a lateral move. He just got a position. He ain't making no more money than what I'm making. The other guy is not making as much money as I'm making, and I'm black. So here it is. These two guys are in the same or a lesser financial state than I'm in. So it ain't about money. So, okay, if they don't stop me from making no money, what are they stopping me from doing? I'm at work with them. I'm looking them in their eyes. Where are they supreme at? They try to have their preference. They try, but they can't go too far because guess what? It's against the law. We got this thing called EEOC. So you have recourse. So you can't say that they supreme. If you're not there, if you're not in my office, if you're not making the money I'm making, more than likely it's through your own fault. You know what one of the big ones is? Smoking weed. Because you can't pass a piss test in the first damn place. That ain't the white man's fault. Because you can say no. And that's something I think that two things the black community need. One, learn how to say no. That's one thing. Two, stop calling people supreme when they're not. Nobody's supreme. So that's my first walk and rant. Maybe that's what I call this. Walk and rant. I might post it up. Who knows? I don't know. What I do know is I got a pretty okay life, but I had to do some soul searching and change my perspective on life in order to get what I got. You know, I got my own crib. I live there by myself. I got 2 cars. Both of them paid for. I don't pay no car payment. I put $1,600 every month in the 401k. Now, most people would take $1,600 and be blowing it. And I'm not even saying that's not a bad way to go, because if everything crashes, that money is gone. It's just a promissory note. I mean, there's no guarantee it's going to be there when I retire. So I ain't saying I got all the answers, but I live comfortably. I have a recording studio. I used to do music for a long time. So I built me a recording studio and a little satellite studio in my bedroom. So I didn't get any of this by tricking it off, spending it on drugs, tricking it off on women. None of that. Who the hell's this guy? All right. That ends part 1.